What's up everybody, Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So I'm happy to be back here after being away last week, of course, at the New York Auto Show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. There's a good amount of cars there. Hopefully, you just went through the playlist and didn't miss too much of the news from last week. And I also apologize, my voice is slightly off because I have a cold after all the stressfulness of New York. And so anyway, I might have to be a little bit different sounding here this week. But we have lots of exciting stories to go over here. First, we have Mazda and the Mazdaspeed3 that may be returning. So, over the past year, Mazda has actually shot it down multiple times. They have no interest in doing a Mazda Speed anymore. It doesn't fit with their brand and them trying to become this premium brand now and all those types of things. And they've kind of just constantly just dumped cold water on the thoughts of Mazdaspeed3s. And so we have an exciting new development that actually goes against that. And so Autocar spoke with the Mazda 3 program manager here, who recently said he'd like a hyper version of the Mazda 3, likely using the 2.5 liter turbo engine that, we see in the other Mazdas. He said, he's quoted here as saying, "I'm a car guy, so I myself want to drive a high performance Mazda 3. I'll do my best." And so Autocar has other sources that told them the project had not been officially signed off on, but insiders suggest that that is a formality. So that it's something that, they basically have confirmed it's coming internally, but they haven't put it, I guess, in writing so far. But Car and Driver confirmed this report with its inside sources who said the company is seriously considering a high performance hot hatch. So multiple sources kind of saying the same thing. It sounds like there might actually be something to this now. Back to the Autocar report here, though. Now, the Mazda program manager added that a few other interesting things here are that they'd likely make it all-wheel drive to avoid any kind of torque steer issues. Also, he said that it needs to be responsible and friendly, more friendly than a Golf GTI, which I find as a funny statement because the GTI seems to be a pretty easy car to drive, but that's just me. He also added it should be fast. Even though they want it to be friendly, they still want it to, be pretty quick and stuff. So he also said it wouldn't be track focused, so it wouldn't be like a Civic Type R type thing or anything like that. Would be more instead set up for everyday comfort, he says. Autocar in their report here wrapped it up by saying that supposedly a proof of concept has already been built and is running around to hopefully finalize the approval and be like, look how awesome this is, let's build this. And so, even though, the rumors are that it's going to use the 2.5 liter turbo motor, which isn't mind-blowing power, 250 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque. But there's supposedly a second-gen version of that motor under development for everything in the Mazda range that's supposed to get it. And that's supposedly coming next year. But if nothing else, they did the hot rod treatment to the Miata motor and made that way better for 2019, in my opinion. And so they could possibly do that even to the current gen 2.5 liter turbo, make it a little more high strung, and that would be a phenomenal engine there. But even if they left it as is, it could be very, very fun still. So anyway, we'll have to wait and see how that, turns out, but it sounds like there's actually something to it now. So Mazda Speed fans, I think you can kind of get a little bit excited because this could actually happen. And some other exciting news, Genesis is soon going to be making an announcement about their first electric vehicle that'll be on sale in 2021. But Motoring Magazine spoke with the global head of Genesis, who said in New York that we're still pursuing the one that you saw last year in a very, very serious manner, and hopefully we'll make an announcement in due time. So last year, the concept they showed was the Essentia concept, and I did a video on that last year. And so that's a very sweet looking electric coupe, and it'd be awesome to have some type of Genesis coupe again, even if it's not an affordable sport compact type thing. Even if it was some high-end EV, that's a luxury coupe, that would still be very cool and a just beautiful concept. For some more affordable news, though, we have some new rumors about the next gen Subaru BRZ and Toyota 86 here, thanks to carsales.com.au. And so they have a Subaru insider, supposedly, that claims that the car is going to stay rear-wheel drive, of course, that's good news, and that it won't move to Subaru's global platform for that reason, because that platform is set up for all-wheel drive only. And so the rumors are that it's probably going to go to Toyota's TNGA platform, which doesn't currently have a rear-wheel drive application, but can be adapted for that easier than the Subaru platform. And they said the choice was either to go the TNGA platform or to stick to the current platform and try and overhaul that. But the current platform was actually just a modified old Impreza platform, actually, which I don't think I even knew, even though I owned one for 2 years and was super into the BRZ. I don't remember hearing that. I know originally there were some mules that were Imprezas, but anyway, that's beside the point. So for this new version, it could switch to that TNGA platform. That's also going to allow them, if they do that, it'll allow them to save weight while also being able to cost share a little bit more, since you have, a platform that's being used for basically everything in Toyota now. And so it makes it a lot more affordable to, build something on that platform. And the insider also claims that Subaru is well underway with the BRZ, at least. And so sounds like, the original rumor, I think, was for these to show up 2021 as 2022 model year vehicles. That sounds like it might be on track, maybe a year later, but that sounds pretty spot on. And so anyway, exciting to see that there's some movement there. Also, Instagram user Evil SRT caught Dodge filming a commercial here for the wide-body Charger Hellcat that's been spied many times but hasn't been officially announced or confirmed for production, at least. And so him catching this in a commercial shoot basically proves this is definitely coming, and coming very soon. And so that's exciting to see, and hopefully we see more of that soon. And we have a few Ford stories this week. The first one here is that Auto Verdict found that Ford has trademarked the Scout and Bronco Scout names. And so some people think this is for the baby Bronco, but the fact that one of them pairs it with the Bronco name, Bronco Scout being trademarked here, that makes me think it's going to be a Bronco trim or a special edition of the Bronco, not the baby version. And so last year, Ford did trademark Maverick and Timberline, and those are, I still think, the best contenders for a name. I personally like both of those better than Scout, I think, as well. But anyway, so I'm thinking that's what those are, but, interesting nonetheless. Whatever it's going to be called, though, we do know that that baby Bronco is going to be revealed early next year, supposedly. Will be on Ford's new global platform that's going to be used on the new Escape and Focus. So it's going to be a unibody, car-based crossover, not a legit off-roader like the full-on Bronco is. But anyway, interesting to hear that about the Scout names. There's also a report here from Automotive News that Ford is working on a new affordable vehicle to be on sale by 2022. And this is mostly because they killed off their whole affordable lineup. And the most affordable thing they have now is the EcoSport, which starts at like 21 grand. The Escape, I think, starts now at like 25 or something. So you have nothing in the teens. And I know that, it's getting more and more rare with other manufacturers as well. But still, it's like, oh no, we killed all our cheap stuff. Guess we should make some cheap stuff. Or just not kill the old stuff and keep that going. But anyway, Ford partially confirmed this by telling Autoblog, we are creating an all-new white space vehicle that will be on sale by 2022. So there you have it. I think what they're hinting at with that statement, though, is the little Ford Courier truck that was spied running around, which is basically, again, on the Focus platform, and is a single cab truck basically, but very light duty truck, but could actually be a legitimate truck with a real bed that's usable and stuff. And if it's based on the Focus platform and it's basically half the interior of an EcoSport, and then you have a truck bed behind it, that should definitely come in under 20 grand and be a little bit of an affordable thing for those who really just, want something cheap. And with Ford trucks being very, very popular, maybe that's how they, the angle they're looking at for that. We'll have to see. For some official Ford news here, though, they announced a $500 million investment in Rivian, which is the EV company that made waves at the end of last year with the R1T truck. And it's very bold claims of, like 400 miles of range and 3 seconds 0 to 60s, all that kind of stuff. And Amazon just recently invested $700 million, and so now you got Amazon and Ford throwing in big money on this thing. So I think Rivian's a serious contender here in the EV market here pretty soon. But part of the deal is that Ford is actually going to get to use Rivian's flexible platform for a new Ford EV. And it's going to be separate from the electric F-150, they said, and separate from the Mustang-inspired electric SUV that's already, both of those are already being worked on before the Rivian deal. So that's all going to be separate. And then Ford's going to have, still potential partnerships with Volkswagen to license out their MEB electric platform for other stuff. So there's that still that they say is still a potential possibility. And whatever they're working on with Rivian, they say will not overlap Rivian's current products. So to me, that means no SUV, no truck. So what else could they possibly use the Rivian platform for? Well, the first thing is they could still make a sedan because even though they say they hate sedans, they do have the Model E name still they got the trademark for before Tesla did. They could use that for some type of, like Ford Taurus size electric vehicle or something. Use the Rivian platform for that. It's a little more far-fetched, but they could make a dedicated EV Mustang that could be on a separate platform from the other Mustang and have an EV version. Again, with the Rivian's crazy power numbers and stuff, you put that and put a Mustang shell over top of it and have an EV Mustang, that would be pretty sweet. But again, I don't know how that lines up with, the recent reports we heard that a new Mustang might not come until 2026 or something, and the current, platform would continue on for at least another 5 years here or something. We'll have to see, but there's going to be some new Rivian Ford project, and that sounds pretty exciting. Lotus also has a new project here. They showed a teaser for their new Type 130 concept, they're calling it. They plan to show at an event in London later in 2019 here. They say it'll be the world's first full electric British hypercar, and it's going to lead to a production version, and is reportedly already in advanced stages of development. So I'm not sure when they plan on having it go on sale, but we should at least be seeing this concept, this year, which is awesome. And so I can't make out too much from the teaser image there, but hopefully we see more in the not too distant future. There's also a report in Car Magazine claiming that the Audi R8 is going to be replaced by an all-electric version, but it's not going to be called an R8 anymore. According to their report here, it'll be called the e-tron GTR, which is a really just stupid name to me, but I'll get to that in a second, because it's they're saying it's going to be based on the same platform as the Porsche Taycan, which makes sense, but also Audi has the e-tron GT, which they just showed the concept for, and that is a sedan, and that's going to be also kind of like an Audi version of the Taycan, which is fine, but then just make it an e-tron GTR, just adding the R all of a sudden makes it a hypercar instead of a sedan. Like, doesn't seem like, why would you use the same name? That doesn't make any sense to me. I get that they really love the e-tron idea, but come up with something else. I mean, I don't know. And so anyway, other things here are that, it's going to be really impressive performance-wise, though, if they do make this thing, because if it's smaller and lighter than the already fast Taycan, it's going to be crazy. They're saying it's going to have over 650 horsepower, again, according to this report. 0 to 62 time of just over 2 seconds is what they're claiming. It's going to be all-wheel drive, of course, have a targeted range of 300 miles. Since the Taycan is coming by the end of this year, too, the tech is pretty well developed already. And that's the thing with these EVs. They can come really quick if it's just a skateboard platform. It's like Lego cars. Just let's pop on a new body and just ship it off, and that's it. It's so much more straightforward and a little less interesting in my opinion, but that's what they're going to be doing with all these, and so you could very easily, make a little coupe body style, plop it on top of the skateboard, and you're good to go. And so this could come pretty soon. They're saying it'll be arriving by 2022. They also claim it could have solid-state batteries and wireless charging for its batteries, but those also seem a little more far-fetched, so we'll have to see. I'm sure the Taycan will probably get those things before this Audi, but well, who knows, maybe they wouldn't. And it would be a bummer to see the R8 die for sure, but this would give it some differentiation finally from the Huracan, with Lamborghini staying fully devoted to naturally aspirated, high cylinder engines and having that be their thing, along with a hybrid component to help keep the emissions reasonable. That's their plan. So Lamborghini's sticking with the gas engines, and if Audi wants to go full electric, splits them off a little bit, and we'll have two very different but very cool supercars instead. So anyway, interesting to hear that. Speaking of Porsche, though, the Taycan platform is also going to be used to make EV versions of the 718 Cayman and Boxster that should be arriving by 2022, supposedly. And so since it's that modular platform, it can be shrunken down for smaller cars, like that Audi or these Porsches. But Autocar has added a little bit into this story, saying that Porsche is also working on a mild hybrid and plug-in hybrid versions of the Boxster and Cayman, and one of those versions will be sold alongside the EV. They're just trying to make up their mind whether they want to do a plug-in hybrid or a milder hybrid. But once they have decided which one they're going with, they said that it would be on sale for about 2 to 3 years, at least before the full EV version takes over. But it sounds like they're envisioning that the Boxster and Cayman will eventually go full EV. Basically, everything's going to go full EV eventually, but it sounds like Porsche is really leading the charge here with this. And so that's the way the Boxster and Cayman seem to be going. In the meantime, though, that hybrid system that they're planning would be put in combination with the 4-cylinder engine. And so it'd be basically like the same hybrid tech they're developing for the 911, just adapted to the 4-cylinder, and something along those lines is what we would get. And so other electric news here. Tesla had a few stories this week. They made some waves in the media here. And so the main one was a press conference Elon Musk held to show off their full self-driving advancements. And of course, to make some bold claims, like one of his quotes here, probably 2 years from now, we'll make a car with no steering wheels and no pedals. He also promised that later this year, cars with the full self-driving option ordered will also be able to recognize and respond to traffic lights, stop signs, as well as being able to do automatic driving on city streets. And they actually showed a video, a time-lapse video of a vehicle actually doing a full-on, little daily drive loop or whatever. The driver wasn't touching the steering wheel, which is a new development also for Tesla, since previously they required that. I'm guessing they're going to put people on the honor system, since they still have no driver monitoring tech. So if you're sleeping at the wheel, they will have no way of knowing, which is actually the part that terrifies me the most, I think. So they're going to allow you to not have your hands on the wheel, not be paying attention, and they are going to just hold you to it and hope that if anything goes wrong, it's on you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, the video clearly shows that it can do that, but that's on a clear day with, in an area that seems to be very well developed, so everything's very clear and new and easy to understand. If this, how well does this still work at night, in bad weather, even if there's poor or obscured signage even, there's like, around here at least, there's stop signs that have like bushes partially covering half of them and random things like that. So, I mean, or even like graffiti, stickers on stop signs, that's fairly common, all that type of stuff. How's it going to respond? And that's, I know they have, billions and billions of hours of driver data and stuff. And so they have very, complex systems. Part of their whole unveiling was this new microchip they've developed that's made by Samsung. And so, they have all this advanced stuff, but how well is it going to work? Because all they're using are cameras and radar. They're not using any LiDAR, and that was another thing that Elon actually bashed basically on stage. So he says a year from now we'll have over 1 million cars with full self-driving software, everything. And he says that regarding the LiDAR though, he says that LiDAR is a fool's errand. Anyone relying on it is doomed, and that the fundamental message consumers should be taking away today is it's financially insane to buy something other than a Tesla. It's like buying a horse. And I'll get to why he kind of said that in a minute. But I mean, every autonomous driving expert in the industry thinks LiDAR is needed because it's an essential backup so that if cameras are, covered with something, if you have radar that's partially obscured, the LiDAR can still see much better and is much more accurate and less likely to get fouled up, I guess. And so, that's why every other car company is investing in that stuff in a major way. Tesla can just wing it and hope for the best, and that's Tesla for you, but it's just kind of scary considering people are actually going to be taking his word for it, and these things are going to be running around with people not paying attention, and it's going to lead to some accidents, I'm sure, eventually. But anyway, his reasoning behind the whole you shouldn't buy anything other than a Tesla is because he's also promising that by next year there will be a Tesla ride-sharing app where people can send out their Teslas to autonomously taxi people around whenever you're not using it. You can be like, oh, I'm in for the night. Let me send out my Tesla to go drive people to the bar and back, like that type of stuff. And he says Tesla would get a 25 to 30% of that fee that would be associated with that, but the owner would keep the rest, and it would still, the price for riders would actually be still much lower than Uber, while still, again, everyone having some type of a profit. And Musk claims there'd be about a $30,000 per year profit that is possible with your Tesla. So it would basically pay for itself and then some, which, okay, sounds cool, but then it just, this is kind of a mini rant, and I apologize, but there's a few issues I have. First off, who wants to let their car be driven around without their supervision, with strangers inside, and a car that costs $50,000 at least, or more, and then, okay, if you buy one and can use it as a taxi, I can see an appeal. If it's just like a car you only use as a taxi and it's not even your personal car, like if I drive my Bullet every day and then just have a Tesla going around as a taxi for me, I could kind of see the appeal there, because if it gets trashed, who cares? But still, it's just like, and then what happens if the thing gets into an accident? Are you responsible? Is the person in the car responsible for not taking over? Is Tesla responsible since it's their stuff that's doing the driving? And then how does that all work out? What if someone gets hurt or something? It's just, it's a ton of unknowns. Yeah. So, and I think the good thing here is that there is government regulations, and state and federal governments are probably not going to allow this to happen as fast as Elon wants it to happen. And so even though he claims this stuff can technically be feasible, it won't be legal, hopefully, until things meet the certain parameters where, it's at an actual safe level. And hopefully these things aren't allowed to just be running around scot-free, just doing whatever they want and having him beta testing on public roads, basically. But anyway, digressing from that, some more practical Tesla news also came out this week here, and that is that the Model S and Model X are getting a little bit of a refresh, not cosmetically, but mechanically here. So they have range and performance improvements thanks to a more efficient front motor from the Model 3, actually. And so the rear motors are still the more powerful ones, and so that's why the performance is still very strong. But those more efficient front ones here mean that the Model S long range can now get 370 miles on a charge, which is very impressive and way more than any other electric vehicle right now on the market. And that's 35 more than before. And then the Model X long range now gets 30 more miles than before at 325. The Model S Performance gets a 30-mile bump to 345, and the Model X Performance gets a 16-mile bump to 305. And so the base model is also going to be offered again here, which is great, because for a while the base model was discontinued and you had to go for a really expensive Model S or Model X if you wanted one. Now you can get a base model again. They're going to be a little bit cheaper here. They first off, their ranges, they're going to be 285 miles of range for the base Model S. The base Model X is 250. They're $10,000 less expensive than those longer range versions that I mentioned there. And so they're going to be starting at $78,000 for the Model S, $83,000 for the Model X. They're all now capable also of using the V3 supercharger, so you get faster charging rates, which is great too. And also, if you're a current Model S or Model X owner, you can upgrade to one of these new ones, and if you do that upgrade, then you get the free Ludicrous mode upgrade as well if you buy a performance version, which is a cool thing, because that's usually a 20 grand charge. And lastly, speaking of performance here, the base and long range vehicles actually are faster now as well. So a base Model S now does 0 to 60 in 4 seconds flat for a base model. That is really cool. And again, aside from Elon Musk and the crazy ambitions, I mean, these cars are still very impressive, and that's awesome just from a performance standpoint when your base model's got a 4 seconds 0 to 60. The base Model X takes 4.6. Long range Model S goes down to 3.7 seconds. Again, not even a performance Model S. 3.7 seconds for the long range one. 4.4 for the long range Model X. And anyway, these are available to order now. So cool to see that. But back to some normal gas-powered vehicles here for a little bit. First off, Aston Martin has revealed the beautiful DBS Superleggera Volante this week. And so it's got all the same great stuff from the hardtop, like the twin-turbo 5.2-liter V12 engine, even the same 211 mile-per-hour top speed as the coupe. 0 to 62 time is only 0.2 seconds slower than the coupe at 3.6 seconds. It has about 370 pounds heavier than the coupe, though. That's the only thing. The weight has gone up here. So the dry weight is now 4,107 pounds. And that's really the only disappointment, is this Superleggera branded vehicle, which means, super light Italian. For that branding to be on a vehicle that's, over 4,100 pounds for a coupe, or convertible here is just kind of, you know, a little misleading, I guess, but it sounds pretty. And it's now the only way to get the convertible V12 as well, because, you know, with Aston Martin now making the DB11 for the Volante version only V8. You can only get the V12 and the DB11 if you go for the coupe. And so if you want a convertible with the V12, the DBS is your only way to get that, which I think is going to draw in a lot of people. And so anyway, ordering opens up in the third quarter of this year, and prices start at $329,100. So cool to see that. Mercedes-AMG also revealed the refreshed GLC 63 in New York, and while it you know, wasn't worth a separate video whenever I was there, because it just, you know, has the same basic improvements as the refreshed GLCs that were shown in Geneva for the regular GLC, you know, with the new headlights, taillights, obviously new bumpers for the AMG versions as well, some little refreshments on the interior and stuff. But the one important thing to note here for enthusiasts is that the 63S Coupe version with the racier roofline there, that version of the GLC took back the Nurburgring SUV lap record from the Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. And so the Mercedes went around 2.4 seconds faster, with its time being 7 minutes 49.369 seconds. So good bit better than the Stelvio there. So we'll see if Alfa Romeo might have an answer down the road. That would be cool. But in the meantime, the Mercedes-AMG GLC is now the king of the SUVs as far as the Nürburgring goes. So interesting to see that. Other Mercedes news here is that they were spied using this shortened E-Class that looks like a Photoshop, but it's not, to possibly test the next-gen Mercedes SL. And so the pictures and intel here are thanks to my spy photographer, Brian Williams. And so, you know, it's looking like this is going to have some type of a back seat, so they want to have a more, you know, usable back seat than previous SLs didn't really have any kind of back seat, and they want to, I think, kind of get back to that to help differentiate it from the AMG GTs. And so I think that's kind of the goal here. That's why they're using an E-Class to test with. But I still think that kind of gives a little bit of overlap with the S-Class Cabriolet. So we'll have to see how. I'm guessing they're going to make this sportier. Supposedly this vehicle, whatever it was, sounded pretty mean. So I'm guessing they were testing an AMG version or something. So it should still be very performance-oriented while still having lots of luxury. Whatever it is, though, there's still a long way to go before it goes on sale, obviously, since it's just still using a rough, chopped-up mule and not even production bodywork or, you know, even prototype bodywork at this point. So we'll have to see what shapes up over time. The final bit of Mercedes news here is that the Auto Shanghai show was going on around the same time as New York here, and Mercedes revealed the Concept GLB. And so it's very close to what the production version should look like whenever it comes. We're also getting it here in the States or by the end of this year or sometime around then. Basically just remove the aggressive tires and the light bar, and those won't make production. But that's basically about it. You know, the roof rack should stick around, at least as an option or something. It runs similar mechanicals to the A-Class, meaning it's got a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder hooked up to an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic. So that's why it's got a little bit of a less refined powertrain than what you get with something like a GLC, which is similar in size. So this only does 224 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. Likely is all-wheel drive, of course. Size-wise, compared to a GLC, though, the GLB is 1.3 inches shorter with a 2.1 inch shorter wheelbase, and there's also 4 inches or 0.4 inches skinnier as well, so a little bit more narrow. And it is also 9.5 inches taller, but a lot of that is the tires there that are jacked up, also that roof rack and everything, those lights, that all adds a lot of height to it. So that's probably part of that. It shouldn't be, you know, that much taller than a GLC. Despite it being shorter lengthwise than a GLC, though, the GLB actually has a third row, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, because they say the second row slides like 5 inches forwards and backwards, but there can't be much space in that third row for anything other than a dog, honestly. I don't know, you know, what... It's going to be tight, and if they do have a usable third row in it, then you have basically no trunk space, and it's going to be like the third row in a minivan or something as far as how much space you have back there. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how actual usable space is in this vehicle. Yeah, anyway, you know, and it's also, why would you have a smaller vehicle that has a third row? Wouldn't that hurt sales of the GLC potentially? I don't know. It just, we'll see how they market this. That's going to be the interesting thing for me. Anyway, it looks nice though otherwise. I think it's a cool. It's a little bit boxier than the GLC. Although it would have been cool to see it get some round headlamps like the G-Wagon, but I guess they wanted to, stay away and didn't want to, infringe on the G-Wagon too much. Speaking of off-roady stuff, the Motor Authority has confirmed that the Toyota Land Cruiser is sticking around, and the rumors suggest that an all-new one could be coming as soon as next year, actually. So Toyota's senior vice president told Motor Authority that they are fully committed to the Land Cruiser for the foreseeable future, and that they're keeping it around because it's a heritage vehicle that's basically been around forever, and it's a staple in their lineup. And so, according to the Motor Authority report here, though, it is going to be getting some changes for this new Land Cruiser. So it could get a more modern powertrain. They say it's most likely going to be getting the twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 from the Lexus LS, and also get that vehicle's 10-speed automatic. That's a nice engine. I did a review of the LS. It's a very strong engine still, but it I don't know if it's gonna be as reliable as the old V8. That's the only thing, which has been proven to go a million miles in a Tundra. So we'll have to see. Hybrid and V8 versions are also still possible. The hybrid could potentially be the same setup you see in the LS hybrid, which is also from the LC hybrid, and then it could also still get a V8, maybe in our market, maybe in other markets that need a more durable engine. And there's also a strong possibility, of course, the diesel will continue on for overseas markets as well, although that's something we probably won't get here. But it could be shown, they're saying, as soon as the Tokyo Motor Show at the end of this year. So we'll have to wait and see. Cool to see that. Mazda has rolled out the CX-5 diesel in New York, and I didn't do a video on it because, again, wasn't quite exciting enough for a separate video, and it sounds like it's going to be a tough sell. I love Mazda. They, make a lot of great stuff, but this, I really don't understand why they even offered it here. So it's a 2.2-liter four-cylinder turbo diesel that does 168 horsepower, 290 pound-feet of torque, and both of those numbers are below the 2.5-liter turbo four-cylinder engine. So that one is 250 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, the diesel does get slightly better fuel economy, and that's the main thing with diesels, but fuel economy isn't amazing either. It gets 27 in the city, 30 on the highway, and 28 combined. And when you compare that to the 2.5-liter turbo four-cylinder gas engine, the diesel is 5 better in the city, so that's your main jump, but it's 3 better on the highway and 4 better combined. Is that worth giving up that horsepower for? I don't know, maybe to some people. But there's also an upcharge, which might be the tougher part for most people. So it's nearly $4,000 more than the fully loaded top-of-the-line 2.5-liter turbo version. So for some reason, Mazda has decided that the diesel is only going to be offered on the very top signature trim and only with all-wheel drive. Even the turbo motor is available with the Grand Touring trim, which is the second highest one as well as the highest one. But so, if you look at that, you can actually get a lower trim turbo one and, still have that way better power and have a good bit of savings, because $4,000 more is a big jump. So including destination, the diesel CX-5 is going to be starting at $42,045. Now, it's basically fully loaded aside from dealer accessories and choosing your paint color, but it's still... $42,000 for a CX-5. Now it's a very nice interior, but that is getting pricey. That's kind of putting it out of its realm of reasonability, in my opinion. But less power, better fuel economy slightly, and way more expensive. I feel like save the money on for your gas with the turbo motor, and put that into all the savings you get with going for the turbo one, the gas one instead of the diesel. But that's my thoughts on it. But we'll have to wait and see if it sells or not. So anyway, interesting to see that. And Nissan had a couple of debuts here. First one was in New York, where they debuted the 2020 Nissan Versa. And so it looks pretty nice, for an economy car. It's going to be probably the most affordable car in America still, like it has been. Also gets lots of standard safety tech now, including automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, auto high beam, and rear automatic braking. You can get blind spot monitoring and all kind of other stuff, adaptive cruise as an option. But even having those basic safety features will be nice, because it means that even rental cars should be a little smarter now for those distracted tourists, which will be a nice improvement. It still runs a naturally aspirated 1.6-liter four-cylinder engine, and so it's a little more powerful now than before. It does 122 horsepower, 114 pound-feet of torque, And respectively, a manual transmission is still standard here in the Versa, but a CVT is optional. And my experience with Nissan CVTs, definitely go for the manual. That's an easy choice there. It also only comes as a sedan now. You cannot get the hatchback. They are discontinuing the old Versa Note hatchback, and those aren't going to be available anymore. But these sedan ones here, these new ones, are going to be going on sale this summer. So interesting to see that. In Shanghai, Nissan has shown off the 2020 Sylphy, which we don't get here in the States, but in the States here we do get it. It's the same vehicle as the Sentra. So basically, this is what you're looking at as the new Sentra. I don't know when we're going to get the Sentra branded version here, but I'm guessing sometime in the next couple of months. And it should be identical when it does arrive here. And looks pretty good to me, I got to say. Again, for a more affordable vehicle, something competing with Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas, I think this actually looks pretty good. It's now longer and wider than it was before. The interior gets some of the luxuries you see on higher-end Nissans, with quilted leatherette seats here being an option, which look pretty snazzy. There's no mechanical details yet for the one that we're going to be getting here, so nothing to really talk about there yet. We'll have to wait for the North American reveal. Anyway, it shouldn't be too much longer of a wait, but cool to see those images so far. Volkswagen has shown the Teramont X in Shanghai, and it's basically, the Teramont is the same as our Atlas, so I'm guessing our Atlas will be called the Atlas X, or Atlas Cross Sport, I think was what the concept was called. Basically, this is just a fastback body style that ditches the third row that the Atlas usually has, and it's supposed to be a little bit sportier, of course. And Volkswagen did confirm we're getting this. It's going to be actually starting production later this year in Tennessee, so these things will probably be showing up here on dealer lots before the end of the year. As you can see, it gets a grille and headlights that are slightly different from the regular Atlas. It's also 5.5 inches shorter than an Atlas, with a half-inch lower roof as well. And I'm assuming, like I said, it's only going to probably come with 2 rows instead of 3, but there didn't see any interior shots or anything to really give us too many details. And I'm guessing mechanicals are unchanged, but again, we'll have to wait for, again, our reveal here in the States. Also, Volkswagen has shown off the ID Roomzz concept that they plan to have on sale in China by 2021. And so this is going to be bigger than the ID Cross, and it's going to likely be a 3-row EV SUV. It gets the same MEB platform with its 82 kilowatt hour battery for 280 miles of range, 302 horsepower, and a 0 to 62 time of 6.6 seconds. Now, with how long this one is, though, I was hoping they would maybe add more battery pack to it, but I guess they're going to have the same battery in all these Volkswagen vehicles, I guess. The exterior and interior here are still very concept-y, so it's going to be toned down a lot, before production. Looks cool, though, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more here in a year or two, so cool to see that. Lastly, Audi has revealed pricing this week for the 2019 Q3. That's going to be going on sale in the third quarter of this year, they're saying, even though this is a 2019 model. So basically, when everyone else's 2020 models start showing up, the 2019 Q3 will arrive. So not sure how that worked out. But anyway, it's already been revealed and looks nicer than most of the vehicles it's competing against. A very impressive package, and it's now even more impressive with the price. So it's going to be starting at $35,695, including destination, which is less than $2,000 more than the old one, which is a really reasonable improvement, considering, just for less than $2,000 extra, you have a much nicer interior than the old Q3. The old Q3, I don't know, honestly, that was not a very nice interior for an Audi. So, I think it's now, a really nice improvement. And so you can go all the way up to a prestige trim that's fully loaded for the most part. Those are going to be starting at $43,895. That's about as expensive. Obviously, there's more options you can probably add on, but that's about where these are going to top out at. And considering the Q5 only starts at $43,000, it's basically like you can have a bare bones Q5, which no one buys, or you can have a fully loaded Q3. So, I mean, in reality, when most people's Q5 is most likely ending up being, around 50 grand or so, with this here, you're a good, $10,000 less, for most people who aren't going to go for the top of the line Q3. And so I think they priced this really well. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are really going to go for the Q3 who don't need the extra size. And it's just as nice nice as a Q5, which is really impressive, I think. And it's also a lot nicer than a lot of the other competitors in this segment, some of which are, again, a little outdated and stuff too. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure lots of these things are going to be popping up by the end of this year. And so anyway, cool to see that. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next week. Take care.